Hello and welcome to BCR Webcasting. In this edition, I'm very pleased to be talking to Nils Behling, who's founder and CFO of Tradeteq. Nils is going to be speaking at our 8th Alternative and Receivables Finance Forum, which will take place in London next month, which is the 23rd and 24th of November, and that will be at the offices of Clifford Chance. Nils, welcome. Very keen to talk to you and to find out more about what's going on in the whole area of digitalization and alternative and trade and receivables finance. Let me ask you first of all, what do you think are the sort of main developments and driving forces that have taken place in this sector in recent years in terms of digitalization?
Yes, thank you, Michael, and very excited to be here today and talking to you, and also, of course, look forward to the conference, the Receivables Finance Forum, very much. It's going to be a great event. But to your question, yeah, I think what we have seen increasingly is the drive towards digitization and the moving away from very labor-intensive, inefficient manual processes. Be that on the side of digitization of documentation, but also other developments like utilizing the blockchain in a way that finally makes sense in this space. And I think a lot of it, of course, is not only driven by cost-saving initiatives, maybe, or the drive to generally improve productivity in this sector. But of course, the pandemic also played a role here. No one wanted to push around paper anymore, but had to find a means and was almost forced to move towards a more digital approach. And that's certainly something that we have seen that, for better or worse, these last couple of years really have given another boost to this development.
I mean, these are all exciting initiatives, but the adoption process of technology in this sector has traditionally been quite slow among certain participants, let's say the banks, for example. Do you see that happening with this, or do you think the adoption process might be quicker? And who will be adopting these new technologies and initiatives? Will it be the banks? Will it be fintechs? Will it be both at the same time? How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, I think it's a really an excellent question, and for me, it's almost a question of either you adopt or you be adopted. Almost, it's your hand is forced. Banks, fintechs working together. I think that's something that's becoming clear is a model that works. When first fintechs appeared on the scene, and we certainly experienced it ourselves here at Tradeteq. There was a lot of hesitation and questions around what do you guys want? There was also at some point this theme of, oh, maybe there's a bit of competition going on between banks and fintechs. And I think that has certainly gone away. And banks have realized that they have to adopt, that they cannot live in the past. And working with fintechs many times is much easier than reinventing the wheel internally and building almost like a digital island that is not connected to the wider ecosystem and universe.
So really the opportunity here is to really improve efficiencies quite substantially, bring down costs, bring increase speed of operational aspects. And we can look forward to all that, I suppose, in the time ahead. But let's focus down a little bit more. And to what extent do API ecosystems play a part in this? And what do you see as the strengths and opportunities there? And maybe are there any disadvantages?
Yeah, I think it goes again hand in hand with this need to improve processes, the exchange of information, to increase transparency. All these things play together. If you can communicate better with your peers and counterparties, and in a way that does not involve sending emails, that does not involve pushing paper or even just going on a website entering information, but you have the machine talk to the machine, which effectively the API connections are. Then you can really harness these gains in speed, reduction of errors. And I think one thing to say here is it's not so much about getting away with the human element, but allowing the human actors in this chain and the ecosystem to focus on the higher value add activities. There is still, and especially in the trade finance space where we traditionally came from, but in other parts of the illiquid credit space, there is still a lot of inefficiencies where there are unnecessary processes, there are friction costs, and all these things can be done away with and allow the human actors to focus on the real high value add parts of that whole connection.
And a big part of what you're working on and involved in is tokenization and NFTs. Can we be a bit specific about how tokenization and NFT will be playing a part in this? Give us an idea of how it would work.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe it's useful to kind of open the lens a bit and say where we are coming from. So we at Tradeteq, traditionally we're providing securitization as a service, and that basically it's a very nice way. We like it. It rolls easily off the tongue. What it really means is that we help our counterparts to take illiquid assets, assets that are hard to deal with, and package them into easily investable packages. So traditionally, we have done this through a SPV in Luxembourg, where we can issue notes. And effectively, the SPV can buy large amounts of, say, trade receivables, package them into very nice packages that then settle through the traditional clearing system to professional investors, institutional investors, and they can just hold these assets in their custody accounts. And we deliver all the reporting, transparency, analytics around that. Now, that's sort of the, I don't want to say the old way of doing it, but that's the traditional way of doing it. And from there on, we have thought, how can we improve the process? What technology is available to maybe make settlement of these instruments easier, to widen investment access? Because as I mentioned, for these traditional notes, investment access is really limited to professional investors who can buy minimum sizes of, say, 20, 50 million receivables at a time. And of course, that wouldn't work for the general public. And starting from that, about a year ago, we took one of our node and worked with our partner, the XDC blockchain. They're a trade finance focused blockchain. Worked with them to package one of our notes in a non-fungible token, an NFT, and sold this to an institutional investor. And that was really a test trade to prove that the rails work. And from there on, we continued to collaborate with our partners at XDC and develop the full issuance platform for digital tokens, in this case out of Liechtenstein, for a number of reasons related to regulation and the experience of the regulator with what we're doing. But we developed the full primary issuance platform for digital tokens. And the exciting thing here is that anyone can, in theory, buy these. So these are retail targeted tokens with very low minimum amounts. They settle through a blockchain. They settle directly in a digital wallet. And now suddenly you have things like instantaneous settlement, atomic settlement, fractional ownership, all these things that were not possible before the blockchain allows you to do. So we're very excited about this, and this is something that we're exploring further to really broaden the investment access to illiquid credit.
So this has the possibility of opening up receivables as an asset class to a much wider range of investors, I guess.
Yes.
And on the other side, does this provide opportunities for financiers in terms of risk distribution and also, let's say, for independent factoring operators where raising funds to fund their businesses is often very difficult. Do you see this as an opportunity for them to be able to find it easier to fund their businesses?
Oh, absolutely. Um, just looking at the trade finance space as an example, we're still talking about this trade finance gap, the lack of funding, especially for small and medium-sized businesses around the globe. And the estimate here, I think we're now at 1.7 trillion finance gap. Some people say it's even more, depending on how you look at it. But in any event, there is a large number of businesses around the globe, small, medium businesses, medium-sized businesses, which form the majority of all businesses around the globe that are underserved. And that's because their financing partners are usually forced to look at the larger players in this chain. They don't have the resources to really serve these businesses. So there's a lot of funding that is needed, but that is not available. Now, if you can broaden the universe of potential investors by going out and offering these products to retail investors, to the general public, and allow them to invest, you increase the available amount of funding, and that goes directly to businesses, to local communities. It creates jobs and increases the availability of funds for businesses. And of course, that then helps the originators that you're talking about as well.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting prospect. I mean, the funding gap that everyone talks about, as you mentioned, 1.7 trillion US dollars. That funding gap has been an issue for such a long time. In the UK, for example, the UK government established a committee to look at the funding gap and the problem of funding for SMEs. That was called the Macmillan Committee. That committee was formed nearly 100 years ago. So that's how long this has been an issue. So if this can help to substantially close that funding gap, it will be a really exciting prospect for this industry, for SME finance in general. So very, very interesting. Nils, thank you very much for your time, and we very much look forward to hearing more about this at our event next month. I'll mention it again. It's our 8th Alternative and Receivables Finance Forum, which will be in London on the 23rd and 24th of November at Clifford Chance's offices. So look forward to seeing you again there, and thank you very much again for your time.
Thank you, Michael. I'm very excited about the conference. Look forward to discussing these and other very interesting topics there, and hope that we have, as in the past years, a great turnout to this.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Nils.